Hi, welcome to JJ's Productions, and we've got another Stoke City vlogcast. We're going to be previewing Stoke City versus Hull City eventually, but with me as always is Jan, and we've just come off the back of a pretty bad game, haven't we?
We have. Hi everyone. I think this week we've got to start with last night's match against Wigan, and I'll let Josh kick off and then I'll have my say.
Well, let's be fair first of all. We have covered the previous match in each video we've done, but this one could go on a little longer than we intend to, because last night, we're recording this on the Thursday after the match on Wednesday, and it was just, I think it was one of the worst performances I've ever seen. You know, and it's so annoying because the first 25 minutes, I actually thought, you know, we're looking okay here. We're not playing great, but we're sort of on the attack and we're not
holding our own.
Yeah, we weren't really under pressure either. I didn't feel like Wigan were going to score at any point. So to actually come off the game at a 3-0 loss, that 25, at home, those 25 minutes have just been erased essentially from everyone's memory, because the following 65, they just dominate the story, and rightfully so. You know, I'm not trying to ignore that 65 minutes, but it's as if there's just no positives really out of that game. You can try and look at that opening 25, but you just can't focus on it because there's nothing good that you can take out of that first bit.
No. I mean, I don't think I have ever picked my phone up to look at my phone during a Stoke match, but I knew I wasn't going to miss anything. And to me, I'm disgusted with myself for doing that. But when you can see that the fans are walking out after 32 minutes is absolutely disgusting.
And we're not blaming them either, just to make that clear, you know.
I mean, the only time I saw that, I think it was against City, wasn't it?
Yeah.
They were leaving at 70 minutes and we thought it was terrible.
I mean, in fairness, we were, was it 2-3-4 down at that point? I can't remember what the score was.
It was bad.
Yeah.
But last night, I could understand every one of them walking out. And come 75 minutes, the stadium was empty.
It doesn't help when you've got your captain going straight down the tunnel at full time and not even making an effort to go around the stadium.
That was disgusting of Ryan.
I mean, there's a reliable source, John Percy, from the Telegraph, who's saying that there was a bus stop in the tunnel between Butland, Shawcross and McLean, and I wish I could tell what that bus stop was about, because you don't know if it's 2v1 or if all three of them were having a barney at each other, but I would love to know the actual story behind that, because whatever it is, something's not right at the moment.
Well, I've wrote in my notes here that Ryan was diabolical.
Yeah.
And after that first goal, to just put his head in his hands and his shoulders go down just proved one thing: he'd give up.
I have never seen a player have such negative body language.
No. And there was one point in the match when Wigan were in their half and they were going forward, and Ryan was just stood there in an empty space. He looked lost.
He wasn't marking anyone, he was just marking space.
Yeah. I mean, it didn't even look as if he was looking where the ball was. And I thought, what's up with you? And then you've got poor Jack, who's having a nervous breakdown, shouting at everybody. You know, and you think, these aren't playing as a team. These are 11 individual players playing on their own. And I have never ever seen that with Stoke before.
Well, I don't know where I saw it, but this morning I happened to see a tweet of, I think it was Liam Lawrence's goal against Aston Villa when we got promoted. And someone just said, how is it that we've gone from that to this? And answers on a postcard for that, because it is baffling how we've gone so far down. I mean, I'm straying a little bit from the game for a moment, but one of the biggest criticisms I've heard in the post-mortem so far has been we haven't invested enough, and the investment that we have had has been poor. So I just want to put to bed one of those myths just for a minute, okay? Okay, so as far as transfers in, I'm looking at this window, and I can't work with undisclosed fees, so I can only go when the fees have been announced. But this window, we've spent 27.35 million on players, and outgoings we've received 19.2 million. So that means we've spent a net of 8.15 million. Again, there are fees that we can't work out that are undisclosed, but I can't work with them. Last year, we spent 39, we received 29.25. So we spent 9.75 million. And then the previous season, we spent 31.55 million and we received 2 million. So we made a net spend of 29.55 million. The reason I'm bringing these up is the biggest criticism I've heard is that with Coates as a penny pincher, we're not putting our hands in our pockets. And I have actually been asking the question, why is it that we aren't seeming willing to spend money? And the biggest answer I've got is financial fair play. And I'm going to put a link in the description to an article that someone shared with me about Leeds United, or it was about Leeds United and financial fair play. And the quotes that have come up regarding that are interesting. It's the idea that in order to allow, I'm going to put it on the screen, in order to allow clubs to make the transition from the Premier League to the second tier, relegated sides are allowed a loss of £83 million over 3 seasons. And we earn about £100 million for finishing in the bottom 3 of the Premier League and pocket £40 million each year in parachute payments. By that logic, West Brom, as an instance, could lose £122 million over the next 2 seasons after starting their 3-year period on a £40 million profit. The way I'm looking at that is, as we stand, we're coming off spending 29.55 million, 9.75 million and 8.15 million. That is quite a lot of net spend across 3 years. My concern is this is what the Coates family and the likes of Scholes are looking at and thinking, how much more can we afford to spend before we risk not being able to recoup it? I'm going to let you speak now because I have gone on a bit there, but I'm just wondering if you're thinking along these lines.
I am thinking along them lines, love. But there's something going on that we don't know about, or the fans don't know about. I can't put my finger on it. I've only been a Stoke supporter for 52 years. And at first time, I can't read what's going on. Usually you know what's happening in the back room and everything. You can assume, and your assumptions are probably right by 80%. But with these, I can't read it. I just don't know what's going on. But somebody's got to do something. We're in the bottom 3 now, and we're going to end up staying there because the players don't want to play. You can see it.
I mean, I didn't want to just do a drab reading then, I've got to admit. But the trouble is, I am actually curious what we can do to get ourselves out of this situation, because my main concern is we can't spend a way out of it. I mean, I am curious how Nottingham Forest have managed to spend 20 plus million net this window when they've been in the Championship and even League One in the time we've been in the Premier League.
Well, look at Fulham.
Well, granted, they've gone up this year.
Yeah, they've gone up, but just look at the spend.
Yeah, I mean, they've spent 100 million, so...
Yeah. They were in Championship, weren't they?
I am curious where they've got the money from, but that's another story. But, it's just a case of... I think as a supporter base, whether you back Gary Rowett, whether you think Tony Scholes and Mark Cartwright should go, whatever, I actually think now, instead of looking for players to come in, I'm wondering if we should now focus on the players we've got.
I mean, my view of Tony Scholes isn't very high, I'm afraid. When I first started to go to the match at 10, he was a ticket salesman, not the football ticket, but the golden goal. And he used to sit in this little house with a little hatch in it, selling these tickets. Then all of a sudden he's this big, who am I? I'm in charge guy. To me, he needs to go. I don't like the fella. I wouldn't trust him with £10 of my money. And you just need to get rid of him.
I mean, my impression of Scholes, it is pretty similar. I wouldn't trust him at the moment with the money in the club, just because I think he is maybe just a little too tight. You know, I have just reeled that off about financial fair play, but I actually wonder if part of the problem is sometimes he scrimps on a deal that would be good and then blows the money on a deal that we don't want to go for. I mean, we're looking at James McLean here, for instance.
Yeah.
There's been a bit of debate about the fact that he's got a 4-year contract at 31, I think he is. And, you know, I mean, I might have got his age wrong there, but it's still a long contract for someone who's in his later career.
They're ready for the pension.
You know, I mean, fair enough. Rowett wanted McLean, so giving him a contract is a sign of trust. But on the other hand, look at the club's security and financial security, and why offer him a deal of that length?
Yeah. You just don't do that in football this day and age.
I mean, especially the thing that would concern me is Scholes must have known, as the rest of the club, that the fans weren't exactly enthused by this transfer. Why give him such a long contract when it's a possibility that even if he plays well, the fans wouldn't react well to him?
Yeah.
You know, it's just a case of poor management. You know, and unfortunately, Scholes is really the head of the chain in this one. You can look at Cartwright with recruitment, but Scholes is the one who offers the contracts.
Yeah. He's the main man to do with all this. And as long as he's there, you might as well just blow everything. Because I'm sorry, I won't carry on, but he's just incapable.
The bottom line for me is that we have got players at the club who aren't involved in the current first team setup. We've got Gianelli and Bula, we've got Jeff Cameron, Eric Maxim Choupo-Moting. They are just 3 off the top of my head. If we try and sell them and they've got no buyers, why don't we reintegrate them into the team? Even if it's like against Huddersfield, give the 3 of them a game just to see, so the Stoke fans at least can see their performance level. If their performance level is worse than the current crop who are playing, then we can't say anything. It's a case of, well, they aren't playing well. But at this point, we're trying to sell players who aren't playing, and who's going to want them? Also, on top of that, the 2 of us have actually come up with a team for the Hull game. I've put mine on the screen pretty much, but you've got yours written down, haven't you?
I have, but don't laugh, please.
Oh, I'll try not to.
Right, I've got Butland, Bauer, Martina, Edwards, Cameron, Choupo, Afobe, Berahino, Bojan, Verdelin, oh sorry I've said that again, Verlinden and Etebo.
We've had a few trial runs with Verlinden. He's a tricky name for my mum, but I think I can understand what you're thinking. You want youth in the team, don't you?
I do.
I mean, with the team I put on this game, it was mainly trying to give the experienced players one more chance. I know that some people might say enough is enough, but we are actually low on numbers at the moment, so I kept Shawcross in the team purely for one last game. If he doesn't play well against Hull, he doesn't get the Huddersfield game, it's Williams and Suter, and that's it. He doesn't get a shot until someone else is injured or there's some reason that forces him back in the team. I've also gone with Martina at left back. I thought Peters just needs taking out for the time being, even if he's playing not so bad but not great. He's just under so much pressure at the moment. I just don't trust him in the team. Ince is injured, so I've put Juve on the wing if he's fit. If not, I think I'd go with someone like Verlinden, maybe Julian Nguy. But after that, the only other change I made was Sorensen in for Fletcher, and that's just because he impressed me against Swansea on the final day of last season. Maybe he could do a job here.
Yeah, you've just mentioned Ashley Williams. No, last night, that was a foregone conclusion that he was going to get a red because of that Powell fracas. I mean, he led himself into it, he couldn't help it. For the second yellow.
It's bad that Rowett, after the game, said, calm down, and he didn't. You know, Rowett was obviously annoyed at him that he got himself sent off.
Well, in my mind, he should have taken him off because he knew he was going to be sent off.
I agree there. I mean, he got one sub before it's happened, and he decided to use it and bring on Etebo. And the only thing I can say there is, at that point, we were 3-0 down.
Yeah.
What did he think Etebo could do?
Nothing at all.
You know, and maybe Fletcher was tiring, but if that's the case, why not play him for the full 90 and then rest him against Hull?
Yeah.
Well, I say rest him, drop him, but, you know...
I mean, if two mere mortals like me and you can discuss teams like this, why can't they? Are they missing something, or are we just stupid?
I mean,
word.
Robert's coming out with some really weird quotes at the moment after games. It's like, after the game yesterday, he did say that he's going to have to start picking players based on performance over reputation from the Premier League. And I can't help but think, but why are you picking players on reputation anyway?
We got relegated.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at Shawcross, for example, and I have to agree with the consensus that compared to the first 7 or 8 years he was at the club, his performance levels have dipped dramatically since then.
They have.
You know, and to say that you've got to pick him because he's a Premier League proven player is just not cutting the mustard.
It isn't.
You know, I mean, I completely disagree with anyone who was giving Ryan verbal abuse online, or, you know, if anything, he's got a family, and I completely disagree with, you know, targeting anyone like that. But equally, I can understand if fans in the stands want to just make it clear you're playing poor. You know, and I mean, that's just because I don't like swearing on here, but...
I mean, I think if the fans did make the feelings known a bit more, like, you know, get him off Shawcross, whatever, it might just register with Ryan. God, I must be playing bad. They've never done that before.
You see, what concerns me is I think it'd be the opposite. I think the fact that everyone is on his back so much is contributing to this poor body language and his head down, and it's as if he feels like he's got the weight of the world on his shoulders, and I can't help but think, take him out the firing line and he might actually come back a bit better.
Yeah,
I
maybe.
mean, the only reason I've persisted with Joe Allen is because there is a player in there. You know, he's still young enough. Plays all right for Wales. So there's a bit of me that thinks all he needs is to get into a winning team and have a system that is built around him. But for some reason, we haven't got a system that plays to his strengths.
I was going to say, I don't know if you agree with me, but I think that the players are playing anywhere where they want. They're not sticking to anything. They're just playing in any position they want. They haven't got a style of play, like with Pulisic was the long play. You know, and Hughes, well, they just played anywhere they wanted, really, in the end. And this is what's happening now. And it's not going to end well.
It isn't. I mean, we're going to have to wrap this discussion up quickly because we nearly haven't had time to discuss the whole game at all, but it is very concerning, just the fact that we are going down a path where there is an obvious sign where the next win is going to come. I mean, if we just look ahead to the whole game, I believe they're a club that have had their own problems as well. You know, when they got relegated 2 years ago, I don't think any Hull fan thought that they would go straight back up. You know, so they are, and they're probably we're in a worse situation than we are. Yet I'm going into this game and thinking they're the more likely to win the game.
Well, how I feel about it all is that they'll be laughing their heads off at the minute, thinking, oh, we can beat them anytime.
I mean, they had good results in midweek against Rotherham. I mean, Rotherham aren't a good team in this league, unfortunately. No disrespect to Rotherham fans. But, you know, I thought Rotherham would have put up more of a fight. You know, I was quite surprised to see they were 3-1 up. And then I think it got 3-2 at the end. But, you know, it was a surprise to see Hull get on top in the game so easily. Yeah. And I get the feeling it could be the same here.
I mean, it's like I've said to you, Josh. Stoke players are making these teams look brilliant.
That was especially the case last night. I mean, I go back to it. Those first 25 minutes, Wigan just did not impress me.
No.
And it's only because we let them in after that first goal, I actually think they got a foothold in the game.
Yeah.
I think if they hadn't sort of got the 2-goal cushion and weren't feeling comfortable, they would have probably carried on playing the way they were.
Yeah.
But the goals just gave them confidence, and it just drained us down to the... You can't even call it a bare minimum, it was below the bare minimum.
I think if they could have had a lights out or anything to have the game abandoned, at that moment in time, they would have done.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be an interesting game. I mean, you can't knock all at all in this sense, because they've got, like I say, they've got problems of their own in recent years. So they'll be looking at this and thinking teams have probably taken advantage of them, so they'll probably want to do the same to us now while we're in a bad run of form.
Yeah.
I think what I'm just hoping, and I'm sure a lot of Stoke supporters will agree, I hope we make a lot of changes for this game. Just try and do something different, because it is a... I feel sorry for Gary Rowett again here, because he's getting criticised whatever he does in some manners. Like, I'm calling here for changes, yet I'm sure there'll be Stoke supporters who will say, God, he's making changes again, he hasn't settled on his team, he hasn't got a plan. The thing is, he just hasn't found the winning formula, and you can't stick with something that isn't winning, so you've got to try and find it. So, I understand why some Stoke supporters will say that, but on the other hand, if he does make changes, I'll be applauding it, because that was absolutely terrible last night.
I know, we can't keep losing by 3 goals.
Oh,
I mean, this is what happened last season. Look at the goal difference.
if we play like last night for the rest of the season, we'll go down with a record points against tally. You know, it'll be embarrassing.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know what the Stoke players will be thinking today. I just don't.
Well, I should think they'd hold their heads in shame, to be honest, love.
Yeah, you hope so, but I mean, it's just going to be very disheartening when you see the team sheet on Saturday, because I don't think there can be enough changes to make everyone happy.
There won't be. I reckon he'll do the same team apart from Ashley Williams, obviously.
I mean, that at least the one bright spot there would be Harry Suter potentially getting a game, but knowing how our track record goes, we'll probably start Cuco Martina at centre-half instead and just keep the rest.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
I don't know. I think we're all, me and Gianni are just in a bit of despair, but
I'd love to be a fly on the wall.
yeah, I think that's where I am right now. I mean, we would love to talk more about Hull. I mean, we have been researching them a bit, and it is a shame we haven't had a lot of time to talk about them, but we'll try and make up for it when the return leg comes around later in the year, well, later in the season, should I say.
Right, come on then, JT. Prediction.
That is a tricky question this time. I mean, if we get a few changes and a few of them click, I'll go for a very narrow 1-0. But that is literally if everything that went wrong against Wigan goes right. But I'm being overly optimistic here.
I don't think myself I can go against Stoke. I want to say that Hull are going to win 2-1. But in my heart I can't say it. I've never gone against Stoke. So I've got to go myself 1-0.
So we've got 2 1-0s then.
Well, that's all for now. Make sure you leave your comments. We'd love to hear from you. And we'll talk next week.
And say whether you're a Stoke fan who was frustrated at the Wigan game, or if you're a Hull City fan wondering how many you're going to beat us by, leave a comment. Also consider leaving a like for the video if you've enjoyed what you've heard, and also subscribe to the channel if you want to see more Vlogcast videos. Until next time, this is Josh, this has been Jan, and we hope to see you again soon.
Cheerio.
Bye for now.
It's another thing actually accomplishing that feat. He's in really good form. Another goal and another win for his team. Good day all round.